Norway is nearly twice as lean as the US. Over 42% of Americans are obese, but in Norway it's only 23%. But here's what's wild. They're not hyper-focused on calories. They're not avoiding carbs, and they're not constantly in the gym and overtraining. They just live differently and stay lean without obsession. In this video, I'm going to reveal 8 hidden secrets that Norwegians use to stay lean all year. And more importantly, how you can use them to lose the weight and stay lean without moving to Norway. Let me show you what skipping this first step amounts to. This 10-pound club, that's what happens when you stop walking to the store or stop taking the steps. Add another 10 for whenever you told yourself you would walk today, but you just waited till tomorrow. Now this 15-pound club is from months of low step counts really starting to add up. And now this 30-pound kettlebell is what your body starts adding whenever you stop making walking a part of your life. If I drop one of these, I'm gonna break my toe, so I'm gonna set them down. So you don't notice it at first, but fat gain adds up the same way. It's slow, and instead of all coming at once, it just gets added to your body. The less you move, the more it stacks, and the harder it is to move, and the cycle continues. I'm sure you might be able to relate. But just like it built up slowly, you can also walk it off slowly, so you got this. Most Americans walk 4,000 to 6,000 steps per day. That's just our average. Norwegians, it's closer to 8,000 to 12,000 steps per day. And really quick, if you don't already have it yet, this is my new craving survival map. It goes through different emotions and different things you might be feeling that's an actual craving. So it's gonna help you overcome those cravings by going through each checklist so that by the end of it, you don't really want the food anymore and it helps keep you on your diet. That's by far the most important thing of any of these details I give on my YouTube page. So go ahead and grab this. Link is totally free in the description or the pinned comment. Norwegians aren't really scheduling cardio, not at least in the traditional sense, but they're walking to the store, they're walking to the train or to get groceries or whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying that we need to be walking to the store and everything. We have a little bit different living situation a lot of times where you need a car. I'm just saying to make steps a part of your day. Start parking towards the back of the parking lot, take the stairs, start going for intentional walks, slow down and enjoy the day. It adds up a lot more than you think. I'm gonna pull up FitBuddy, which is my free AI fat loss coach, link in the description. And I'm gonna ask it how many steps, what the difference is between 6,000 steps a day and 12,000 steps a day. Now I know 12,000 might seem like a lot, and it is, but this is just an illustration to show you the power of taking more steps. So FitBuddy will ask you for details about yourself. So it just asked for details for me. And it said at 6,000 steps per day, person would burn 240 to 300 calories. And at 12,000 steps a day, they would burn 480 to 600 calories. I don't know if you can see that. So the fat loss impact at 1 pound of body fat, 3,500 calories. If you increase your steps from 6,000 to 12,000, that's roughly half a pound of weight loss per week from steps alone. Over 2 pounds a month, and over 3 months, 6+ pounds. So what is that? That's 24 pounds over the course of a year from walking steps. Imagine adding muscle and those steps burning more calories. Imagine watching your diet. I'm not saying this is the end all be all, but this is a huge point here. So walking isn't actually the Norwegians' biggest fat loss secret. What they don't do might matter just as much. And chances are it's something you do all day, every day, without even thinking. And that is sitting in this chair. It's a pretty comfortable chair. See, Norwegians sit just as much as we do, but they don't sit for super extended periods of time. They break it up with tiny bursts of movement. So your takeaway here is pretty simple. It's just stand up more. Set an alarm every hour or something like that. I know the Apple Watches, they have that built into the functionality where it alerts you that you haven't stood this hour. Stand up for at least a minute per hour. I ran this through FitBuddy that I showed you earlier, and it was equivalent to like 6 or 7 pounds of fat loss per year. And again, I know that's not crazy or anything, but add that to the fat loss we just talked about with steps, and then all the stuff that we're going to talk about with nutrition and walking and all this. I mean, it's incredible. With the strength training added in there, all this stuff, you can see how it really starts to go together, and it's a system that's going to really help you lose fat. As I was alluding to, it's not just that they move or how they move, but it's also how they eat. And so we're going to discuss that next. This next habit might be the main one keeping Americans stuck. So let me show you this on my toddler's whiteboard. So a lot of people have heard this. This is the grocery store layout where the real food lives towards the outside. These are going to be your departments, seafood, deli, meat, and whatever else there is, produce and everything. And then down here is going to be the food that is far more processed and boxed. In the US, almost 60% of calories come from the middle part of the store or more processed food. Now, granted, this is in the form of usually fast food or things like that. But in Norway, it's closer to 60% to 70% is from the outside of the store, so less processed food. In Norway, they cook more food and they have less packaged snacks. Now, I'm not here to demonize processed food. Everything goes through some sort of processing. It's just the boxed food and those sweets and everything, they're, Pop-Tarts or whatever, that are in the boxes, they're gonna be very delicious and they're gonna be easy to overeat. They're gonna have more calories than your average amount of food that is towards the outside of the store. Imagine eating 200 calories of chicken breast. That's going to be kind of hard to consume, whereas compared to 200 calories of a Pop-Tart, that's extremely easy. So your takeaway here is simple. Start replacing packaged foods with stuff more from the outside of the store. Only leave some things that you really can't live without from the inside of the store. For us, that's going to be nut butters that unfortunately we have to lock up because I have a problem with nut butters, but that's for a different topic for a different day. Also, if you haven't got it already, my cookbook is totally free as well, link in the description. That's gonna give you really delicious recipes using that food from the outside of the store to make high volume, high protein foods that are gonna help you keep on your diet. You combine that with the craving survival map and you got a real winning formula. Even more important than what they don't eat or do eat is what they're not tempted by. Because in Norway, your environment doesn't push junk food 24/7 like it does here. So class is gonna be back in session. Imagine these are two fridges, but they are also cell phones. Cell phone fridges. On this cell phone, we see a burger. Oh my. And we see a donut, and we see a fitness influencer that is flexing their arms, and they have the perfect, I don't know, I guess don't look at that. We're just gonna erase whatever that was. And then over here you have, positive things, I don't know, trees and delicious low calorie recipes that are in this is supposed to be spaghetti that are in my cookbook. The point here is that your social feed is like your fridge. If you open it up 20 times a day and you always see this, it's going to be very, very tempting to, go throughout the rest of your day and not think about this food. Basically, we are shaped by what we see all day. And so start caring about your social media feed maybe a little bit more than average. You can't really help the ads that are put in front of you, but you can tell Instagram, Facebook, and all those not to show you those types of ads. See less of this type of stuff. If you see a fitness influencer with an unrealistic body type that you see triggers you into feeling bad about yourself, say you want to see less of it. Whenever you see good things that inspire you and fill you with some encouragement, say, I like this content and I want to see more of it. Start shaping your feed. Now, you have to be really intentional with that because the things that catch attention, we don't really realize it's happening. I'm sure you kind of understand this. So the feeds give us what they think we want based off our giving them attention. So we can say, hey, I want to see this a little bit less, but they're going to put it back in front of you eventually. So start training your brain whenever you see something that looks like it doesn't support your goals, just swipe right past it. And then when you see something that is encouraging, spend a little bit more time on it. Norway apparently passed a junk food ads law that you couldn't advertise to kids under the age of 18 with junk food, which I'm in full support of. Studies show this actually reduced fat food sales by 8%, which, as we know in the United States, probably isn't going to be looked at positively by the government because of, capitalism and everything. And that's fine. I'm not trying to demonize that. I'm just saying that it makes sense. You follow the money. There is money in fast food. There's money in junk food. It's easy to process. It's probably cheaper to process. And so we're never really going to get away from it, but you have to take control of your environment. You are in control of your own destiny. Start grabbing it by the horns and making sure that you reach your goals. I really like this next tip. It's not just about what they eat, but how they eat it. And I think I'm one of the biggest people that are guilty of this. And so maybe you are too. So imagine this. A young fisherman wants to catch as many fish as possible. So he sets up 20 fishing poles all over the shoreline. He runs back and forth, checking each one constantly at the slightest nibble. He's sweating, overwhelmed, and actually missing the bites by the time he gets to one of his poles. By midday, he's exhausted and has an empty basket. Then a wise old fisherman arrives. He sets up one rod, he already knows the perfect spot, and he sits there and he watches that rod. He's starting to fill up his basket, and the young one finally asks, how are you doing that? Why do you only have one rod? The master fisherman says it's not about how many lines you cast, but the one that you pay attention to. That is your meals versus grazing, being mindful of food, and that is one of the big secrets of Norway, in my opinion. In Norway, meals are structured: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and actual intentional snacks. They eat at set times, not all day, which this might seem like an obvious thing, like I don't eat all day either, but we do tend to graze a whole lot more. We have a culture that tends to promote in the car, going, or watching in front of the TV. I think that's one of the biggest culprits of us. Yeah, I shouldn't say it's one of the biggest culprits, but it's one of the things that I think is the lowest hanging fruit that we can eliminate, is to stop watching in front of TV. I've heard a lot of people say, I'll let my food go cold if I can't find something to watch while watching it. So I'll sit there for 20 minutes trying to find something before I start eating my food. And I get it, I'm not saying that's necessarily bad. I'm just saying whenever we do it all the time, we forget that we are full because our brains are entertained by what's in front of us instead of our food. It also kind of takes away from the taste of the food. So if you do have tasty food that's high in calorie, you should at least enjoy it. If you have food that might have a little bit more subtle flavor, not just fat and sugar, maybe it's, steak and rice with a really good low calorie sauce, enjoy it. Try to understand why you're enjoying that food. Not to mention that constant grazing keeps your hunger pretty high. I don't know about you, at least for me, whenever I eat more, I tend to want to eat more. I don't know what it is. It's for me, intermittent fasting works really well. I don't actually intermittent fast. I have almost a pure protein source in the morning and then I wait till 12 to eat again. But for me, for whatever reason, I just really enjoy that feeling of slight hunger. And so it helps me to eat a little bit less. Now I want to stress, snacking is fine if it's planned. I have 6 meals a day, 3 meals and 3 snacks. I don't do that intentionally, like 6 meals is a magic number or anything. I just like to eat often. But I plan it in. It's literally pre-logged. The rest of my day right now is logged. The real takeaway here is go back to meals and snacks, not grazing. I try to make this a rule. Now, if a person hates food logging, then this isn't going to be a perfect rule for you. But still, you can take the principle here where you have to log it to eat it. That way you're at least having some intentionality behind it. You might just want to write it down in order to eat it. Just take the mindlessness away. But don't be fooled, this isn't just about food. It's also about why they move their body, and I think this is going to be a really cool tip for you. We've all heard to make movement a lifestyle, and that could not be more true in a lot of European nations. Particularly, Norway, Switzerland, things like that. In Norway, movement isn't punishment, it's pleasure. They do it for fun. They have activities built throughout their day, or at least throughout their weekend and their pleasure times, where, they might play tennis, they might go skiing, they might go for a hike or a ruck. This concept, I had to obviously look into this for this video, is called friluftsliv. I probably totally didn't pronounce that right. It's a deep culture of the love of the outdoors. That's walking, hiking, skiing, biking. It's a part of their week. It's a part of their life. It's not a chore. It's not something they have to go make themselves do. Your takeaway here isn't to just start moving more, because that's like too basic. It's to make it a part of your desire to live longer, your desire to live a healthier lifestyle, and to be able to enjoy your life with your kids and your grandkids longer into your life. Instead of just making it something to look better or feel better in the moment, something that you're going to carry forward with the rest of your life and maybe even pass on to your kids, a love of the outdoors and health, where they're not having to battle the hospitals and doctors and all these insurance bills and all this stuff, because it's a part of ingrained into your heart, if you will. Another big takeaway here is to make it fun, make it something enjoyable. If you like pickleball, go play pickleball. If you like tennis, go do that. Hiking, skiing, kayaking, doesn't matter. Find an activity outside of the gym that you really enjoy. Now, if the gym is your playground, go there. But there's one last habit that, in my opinion, holds it all together. It's one that gives them the energy to do all of this stuff. You might be thinking, this sounds exhausting, and you're probably right. I think this is something that Americans are seriously missing, and that is to slow down and not care so much about work. Let me explain. Norwegians work on average about 37.5 hours a week. They leave work early, and they go on vacations pretty often. I think they call it holiday there. That leaves more time to cook and move and breathe and be present with themselves. In the US, stress is constant. And I'm not saying that's not true over there as well. I'm sure they're stressed out about things as well. They are intentional with not being too stressed out. When stress is high, as I'm sure you already know, your willpower is very low. Your takeaway here is that you don't need to change your system. You don't need some magical thing. You just need to be more intentional with de-stressing. Have a pleasure activity that allows you to kind of get out some stress. For me, I love listening to records, even though it's the same music I could listen to on my phone. I don't know what it is about a record. And my daughter just got a fish, and for some reason I find it kind of peaceful to watch that fish. So maybe I'll combine those two activities, but it's something to de-stress. I love working. I love building this business and making content for you guys. So I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but this is something I've been trying to add into my day, which helps me to be more aware and stronger to resist urges in my own diet and my own pursuit of fat loss. Now, if you're following these tips, you're gonna lose weight. You're probably gonna lose a lot of weight. So if you don't wanna look skinny fat by the end of your weight loss journey, that's exactly why I made this video right here.